Hello, travelers. Long time no see. I have a very exciting reason to be back on this channel, and that is that I was invited to be an official co-streamer for the Wholesome Snack 2025. However, I couldn't be live today, so instead, I'm here to show you the top 5 games I'm most excited about that were featured in the Wholesome Snack. And of course, you can always go to wholesomegames.com for more information and to see the rest of the games. In no particular order, I'm going to start with Mandrake. I love the art style of this game. It's different from a lot of games that we see these days, and it really does feed my high fantasy loving soul. I'm also obsessed with any game that has to do with horticulture and growing plants, especially when you mix in the world of magic. In Mandrake, you are the very last in a line of gardeners with sorcerer powers. This farming sim seems like so much more than just a farming sim. While it does have the traditional fishing, gathering, and exploring the wilds, the art is so different, like I said, and I am really looking forward to what this game's storyline will offer us, especially since the characters already look diverse and so fascinating. While the release date is still to be announced, I am so excited for this narrative rural life sim and cannot wait to discover the lost arts of horticulture. Next is a game called Verdant. You play as Sprout on his journey through a green post-apocalyptic world that never moved on from the 1980s. You are literally balancing life and death in your hand with your powers, and your goal is to uncover their connection to the downfall of humanity. Once again, a game with a unique art style and focusing on nature and its ability to both coexist and overrun humanity. The animals, or monsters if you want to call them that, are so intriguing and absolutely stunning. And it seems like there is going to be some heartbreak and really difficult choices in this world. I'm so excited to allow myself to dive into another adventure game, especially one set in such an interesting landscape. And unfortunately, this game also does not have a release date. But if you follow on Steam, you'll find out as soon as they let us know. Next, I will say I'm not much of a deck builder game type person, but there are 2 games that were featured in the Wholesome Snack that really caught my eye. Well, one I've known about from before, but it still catches my eye every time I see it. So we'll start with that one. Arcane Eats. I love a roguelike, but I'm not much of a deck builder, and this is a delicious twist of the 2. In this game, you'll have to think strategically, combining ingredients to subdue hungry hordes, recruit legendary kitchen crew, and rise through the heroic cooking guilds. Since I'm not a deck builder, I can't tell you if this game looks like it'll be good in that aspect, but it's pretty, and I get to cook, and it's in a fantasy world that doesn't take itself too seriously. So all in all, I cannot wait for the release next year. Next is Mirage Miracle Quest, which does feed into my love of magical girls. I grew up in the 90s. I love Sailor Moon and anything remotely similar. I feel like we all do. But this game has a little bit of a more intense vibe to some of the characters, which I really enjoy. They're gnarly and gross, but in a cute cartoon way. At least the enemies are. This game is actually a modern take on classic turn-based RPGs with deck building elements. So the deck building isn't the primary point of the game. It's just a part of it. I also really enjoy the retro colorful vibe. I usually go for things that are more earth-toned and more natural, but this one, there's something about it that feels like it's going to both trigger nostalgia and awaken a new favorite. Oh, did I mention the main character is an exorcist? If that doesn't have you intrigued, I don't know what will. Sadly, Mirage Miracle Quest does not have a release date yet, but like I said before, follow on Steam and you'll know when it comes out as soon as I do. And last but not least is Restory, a quaint electronics repair shop you run in the mid-2000s Tokyo. You're growing your business carefully by restoring iconic video game consoles, cell phones, music players, and other nostalgic devices. They even have Atari in the game, which was officially licensed for it. As someone born in the 1990s, I grew up with these gaming consoles, these cell phones, and the internet looking like it does in the game. But it's not just a basic clean an item and give it back to the customer. You actually influence customers' stories by the choices that you make and how you help them along their journeys. It's also replayable because branching storylines have choices that impact the ending itself. And from what I can tell, it looks pretty in-depth when it comes to actually cleaning the devices and the restoration process. I'm super excited to jump into urban life in Japan in the 2000s and give new life to old electronics that others might have forgotten. And before we end the video, I do want to do an honorable mention. Because this game was already announced a while ago, I wanted to include it, but I didn't want to put it in my top 5 because I wanted to include only games I'd never heard of before. So I want to shout out both Wild Society and Cozy Caravan. Wildflowers was one of my favorite games, and I'm very excited to check out Wild Society on its release. And Cozy Caravan I played when it was in super early access. It was already a lot of fun and let me calm down after a long day. So with its release next year, I'm excited to see how far it's come. Once again, thank you to Wholesome Games for inviting me to be an official co-streamer of the Wholesome Snack, and I'm sorry that I couldn't be there live. But don't forget, those watching here can go to wholesomegames.com to watch the entire snack, check out the games, and look at what they've got showcased in their Humble Bundle partnership. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you feel like it, but most importantly, have a very magical day.